Cheryl is part of Studio 4's Work Gang Trio, as you probably know. It is my pleasure to welcome her back to Studio 4 to tell us more. The other two were here without you on Monday.
I know, and I heard they did well.
They did very well. They missed you.
Aw.
Desperately.
I missed being with them. It's fun to do. Yeah.
But it's fun to be on a book tour talking about the book, The Control Freak Revolution. Most people think control freak, ugh.
Yes. Well, actually, what drew me to write the book was that by default, just being a leader, most leaders are labeled control freaks because they're in charge. And so I kind of said to myself, well, wait a minute, is that a bad thing? Because some of the highly effective leaders I worked with, I'm a recovering control freak myself, so a little bit defensive of the whole notion.
Exactly.
So I thought, you know, wait a minute, is this a bad thing? Because highly successful people do take control. They're not victims. They say, I am in control. Oprah Winfrey, classic example of someone who had a very difficult upbringing and chose to take control of her destiny in her life. So.
And buy just about everything and start just about everything, and isn't that good? And yet I have a sense she's nice, but I'm not sure. I don't know her personally.
I don't know either, yes.
How many types of control freaks are there, in your opinion?
Well,
like
in the book, in the book I talk about the overt, the covert, and the aware and alert.
Okay.
So the overt control freak is the ones that most of us don't want to be labeled. They're overbearing, they're perfectionist, they're arrogant, they're condescending. And that's sort of the label that when we think control freak, you think, you know, jerk, not a nice thing. And so usually with an overt control freak, they're actually, in my opinion, easier to deal with because their behavior's out in the open. You can say, wait a minute, you know, no need to talk to me that way, or, you know, set your standard with them. The covert, a little bit more difficult because you can be a very introverted, passive person and think that you're meek and very nice, but your behaviors can be very controlling. Simply by not speaking up is a controlling behavior. Or somebody saying to you at work, how are you today? And you say fine, but you're really not, is manipulation and control.
So that's the negative control freak.
Absolutely. So the alert and aware, or the funky control freak, is the one who goes, yeah, you know what, I do have controlling issues. I'm aware of them. I know when to scale them back. I know how to use them to my advantage. I know when to say to my team, right here, right now, I am going to take control. Because here's where we need to go, and I need you on side with me. So
yes, if you've ever worked with somebody who has difficulty leading,
yes,
you beg them to lead. Please lead.
Step up.
You are the leader. Lead.
Take control and show me the way.
That
Absolutely.
That takes confidence.
It takes confidence. It takes high self-esteem. In the book, I talk blocks to people, leaders being effective, and it is low self-esteem, although many leaders would never admit that. Many leaders would say, well, I'm a leader, so of course I have high self-esteem. I know for myself in my early 20s when I was leading, I got my first management job at 23. I was in a bank robbery. They said, you're really well at handling robberies. Let's promote you to the second highest robbery branch in the city. I always say, be careful what you're good at. But I you know, showed up. I was 23 years old. I'm the boss. I am in control. And that backfired on me because I behaved in overt control freak ways versus honoring where people were and using my control in ways that they would respect and want to follow.
So when you want to use control in a respectful way, are there is there a checklist you can go down and check yourself? Because evaluating yourself is always good.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. There's a couple questionnaires in the book. In the first chapter, I say, you know, what level of control freak are you? And that first chapter is available free, actually, off my website, Cheryl Cran, so people can go there and do that questionnaire complimentary. And then in another portion of the book, I talk about turning these behaviors into positives. So some of the maddening behaviors are, you know, condescending. Especially women, I find, are not realizing that the tone of their voice or their body language or the way they deliver something is perceived as highly controlling. In one of the surveys I did, it was an Australian survey that I have in my book, pardon me, they talk about women are more perceived as control freak leaders than men are. And I found that fascinating.
Is that because women think they're the only ones that who can do the job?
I think it's
We've
because,
all worked with someone like that who can't delegate.
They
has
micromanage.
No idea how to delegate.
They micromanage
everything.
But they do it at home too. So I've had many women say to me, well, you know, it's because my kids won't do it or my husband won't do it. And my retort back is, well, it's probably because you've always done it. So the pattern that you have set in place is, I will always take care of it. So.
Men who cook, and there are many now.
Yes.
I've heard occasionally, I'd do dinner, but she won't let me in her kitchen.
Exactly.
I'd love to make dinner, but
exactly.
Not only won't she let me in the kitchen, she tells me what to do when I get into the kitchen.
Exactly. So that kind of control, and you know, my whole purpose in writing this book is I want to connect people. I want people to see that the whole purpose is that we build relationships, specifically in the workplace. Let's not focus on the divisions. Let's not focus on the differences. Let's focus on how we can use negative behavior, turn it into positive, and build greater teamwork, greater synergy amongst the people we work with.
Right. As we watch the U.S. election primaries,
Yes.
I would suggest almost every candidate is a control freak.
Absolutely.
They would have to be to have that drive, to have vision, to create.
Yes.
To know what you want.
Yes.
To know what you need and not be afraid to ask for it.